कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तवं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्रयवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्।
करुणामयी हृदयेश्वरी करुणामयी हृदयेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी सर्वेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी सर्वेश्वरी विद्यामयी जगदम्बे माता विद्यामयी
With love and gratitude, I offer my humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our dearest, loving, omnipresent Lord, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sairam to all, and we hope we find you today in best health. And very sorry for the technical trouble that we had, and we hope that you were able to find the new link for today's presentation and program. Thank you for joining us on this very special evening with a very blessed member of the Sai family. Brother Satyajit is an alumnus of the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning in Prasanthi Nilayam. He joined Bhagavan's institution in 91, spent 7 years, during which time he completed a bachelor's, a master's, and an MBA degrees, and received a gold medal from the divine hands himself. He then had the wonderful good fortune of serving Swami physically for over 13 years, from 1998 to 2011, and was privileged to be groomed and trained by our dearest Bhagavan. Today, he's a father, an important messenger of our dearest Bhagavan, as he has been sharing his unique experiences with his time with our dearest Swami. In the Upanishad Vahini, Bhagavan provides a beautiful definition of the word Upanishad, and that is the process of studying with steadfastness of the attainment of the ultimate reality. Another simple meaning of the word Upanishad is sitting down near. Brother Satyajit had the wonderful fortune of literally sitting down near Bhagavan for over 15 years. This tremendous divine gift comes with an incredible responsibility, one that Brother Satyajit wears with humility, implicit faith, and devotion. In the days after the Dwapara Yuga, Sage Sukha narrated the life of Lord Krishna to King Parishit. For the next 2 hours, let us relive through Brother Satyajit the days of the avatar and share Swami's divine message. During the question and answer session, please post any spiritual questions in the YouTube chat, and questions will be prioritized based on the relevance to the topic. At this time, it is my great honor to invite our dear Brother Satyajit to address Sai devotees across Canada. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering loving and prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. Dear brothers and sisters, a very, very loving Sai Ram to you this morning, or this evening at your end. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here, and I know that it's a beautiful Saturday evening there in Canada. Across timelines, across time zones, the love of Swami is a uniting force for all of us. It's a great pleasure to be part of these satsangs. I'm grateful for these opportunities to interact with beautiful hearts, beautiful minds across the globe. Hearts filled with devotion, hearts pining for the divine nectar of his teachings, of his love, hearts that are beating in unison across the globe. The unity that I see across countries is unbelievable, and that uniting force is nothing but the divine love. It's a great pleasure to be able to virtually jump continents and see the same spirit of love and oneness reflecting in every heart. So thank you, dear brothers and sisters, for this opportunity to interact with the wonderful devotees of Canada. Canada is very special to me because of a few reasons that I'll enumerate. The maple leaf has become, to me, the maple leaf has become one with inclusivity, right? Because some of the beautiful dramas and programs that I've seen from the SSE movement, SSE children in Prasanthi Nilayam, had that unified theme of oneness, that unity of culture, the unity in diversity as an important component, and the way the children had displayed those aspects of tiny tots in Purnachandra has been memorable, has been etched in the heart for a very long time. But even more intellectually engaging to me was the kind of books that used to come from Canada, the books on Sathya Sai education, the books on Swami's philosophy that devotees have put their heart and soul into creating. And it was a great pleasure to be, as brother said, Upanishad, to be seated at Bhagwan's lotus feet, doing Padaseva. And while doing Padaseva, Swami was, as I was focusing on my work of doing Padaseva, he would be focusing on his work of going through his letters and the parcels that come to him. And all of a sudden, our worlds would meet, where a book or a project work would thump on my lap. Right? He would have flung it down at my onto my lap, and I would look up, and he would just give a look and look at it. And many of those those gifts falling onto my lap, if you may, have been books of beautiful project works that have been done by the SSE gurus. There have been beautiful books that have been published by devotees from Canada. So I, right from very, very early, 98 onwards, I've been following the SSE movement internationally, of course, the Bal Vikas movement in India. But I have always been fascinated by the intensity of work in Canada. And I know that the SSSIO school in Canada is today one of the best schools, or the best school in Canada, as you know, in molding children. I think all these things are indicative of the love that has permeated the hearts, the love that has been internalized. The principles of Bhagwan, the core principles of Bhagwan's teachings have been the actual nididhyasa has happened, right? There has been Shravana, Manana, and nididhyasa, and is now getting regurgitated in the form of activities, in the form of philosophies for creating schools. I mean, so these are very, very important indications of I'm in the development sector world, and we very strongly believe in indicators, in having indicators of progress, and these in the spiritual world are wonderful indicators of a nationwide movement of unity, of unity of purpose, taking things forward. And so these, dear brothers and sisters, are a few of my opening words to feel one with all of you, dear brothers and sisters, if I may, to feel that we are together in this wonderful search, in that wonderful quest for divine meaning in our lives. Another, just to give you an indication of how any spiritual work, any any seva that has done, any dedicated work that has been done anywhere in the globe has repercussions, or has ripple effects across the globe. Those thumbs of books falling on my lap was what took me on that journey of exploring Sai literature. We had the form, youngsters, as we have the form with us, we become enamored by the form and are focused on serving the form. And I have seen many of my brothers getting so immersed in the form that they don't realize the essence of his teachings. Many a times I have seen boys drifting away after a few years of proximity to Bhagwan, because they have not understood the depth of Bhagwan's teachings. And I am grateful to Swami for those books being thrown at me. And of course, in the first few months of my training period, the discourses that Bhagwan had given every single day in the Kulwant Hall to make me aligned to the form and the teachings together, right? And I'm grateful to Bhagwan for having done that, because after the form has merged with the universe, it is only the teachings that are surviving, that are continuing to drive us forward. And I remember the expression of my love for Swami's teachings, my fascination for that literature became concrete in a project that I took Swami's permission to do. And this was, I presented to Swami or I offered to Swami this thought that Swami, today we are entering the digital age. This was in somewhere in 1999. Today we are entering a digital age, and everything is there on the computers, and and which can be searched, which can be categorized, which can be there is a new medium that has come in, and it is important that we make that medium also very holy. And I sought Swami's permission at that point of time to start digitizing the old Sanatana Sathis, right? And so because I would find that many of those old Sanatana Sathis would have been locked up in Prashanti Nilayam library in the book trust. So I sought Swami's permission. Swami, is it okay if I start digitizing these things? So we started a small program in one of the north blocks in North 1, I think North 2 or North 3. We had taken one room, and of the 1,200 sevadals who come for various duties, two sevadals were assigned to the typing duty. We would search for two boys who were good at typing, and it was my duty to go talk to the editor in Sanatana Sarthi and take out the earliest versions of Sanatana Sarthi and bring it to this gentleman, and he would keep typing this. It was a very, very painstaking process. So we had to prioritize. Should we be typing the discourses? Then we said, no, discourses are already there in the form of Vahinis. Can we look at articles? But then we thought that some of these are part of Satyam Shivam Sundaram, because Kasturi Garu had done such a fantastic job of documenting Swami's teachings and his life. So we were looking at at prioritizing something or the other. Some of the weeks we'd get the hunt and peck typists, right? Who would be searching where is K, and and we used to be patiently waiting out or getting restless. This is a too slow a process. And the next week, somebody would be there whose fingers would be flying on the desk. There was so much of, and this continued for about 6 months. And during these 6 months, maybe about 2-3 months later, I saw one CD lying in Purnachandra Auditorium. It was one very unassuming CD which was just in that that plastic cover, right? And it was just written. It was golden brown kind of a colored CD with handwritten thing called library project, the library project in red sketch. I still remember. And I saw that lying near Swami's chair. I just picked it up and just kept it back, not knowing what it is. A few days later, I saw it on the table. Again, I took it up and saw it, library project. Okay, and I left it. And this on the other side, this work was continuing, was going on and on. One day, maybe 6 months into this work, and after about 3 or 4 months of this CD coming to me every once in a while, and as I'm arranging some piles of books or something, the CD would come. Fortunately, I did not throw it away, right? It was okay, we'll keep it some other place. After about 6 months, I picked that CD, and for some reason I felt, let me just see what this library is all about, and I put it into my desktop, into that CD drive. And when I opened it, it was the digitized version of all the Satyam Shivam Sundarams, all the 4 volumes, all the Vahinis, all the Vahinis of Bhagwan, and all the Satya Sai Speaks, plus a few more books to boot. And everything was in a beautifully formatted PDF file. I was jumping in joy, right? I mean, because I know the pain it takes because of those 6 months of work, I understood the value of this project. And the reason I am sharing here is because I have still not understood where did this project come from, and I'm hoping that it was from Canada. I've been trying to figure out for the last. This was 1999. So for the last 21, 22 years, I've been trying to figure out where did this gift, this boon come from. Of course it came from Swami, but who was instrumental? Who were the hands that Swami had used? Who were the instruments that Swami had used to do this? So, and that project, I I went to Swami expressing joy. I was like, uncontrolled in my joy, and I was gushing with happiness as I was telling Swami, Swami, all this Sanatan Sati work that we have been doing. Swami, I should come and report on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, as to what was happening there. But the joy with which that day I came, I was waiting for Swami to come from darshan. As soon as he came down and went up, freshened up, and came down and sat in Purnachandra, I was all over him. Swami, this happened, that happened, and this series, Swami, everything is there. And Shanti, Shanti, ye mindi, is trying to control my exuberance. But the joy of finding all that literature in one place. Today, all that you see, dear brothers and sisters, on the various search engines, etc., is from that project, right? Because I worked with Professor David Grice. We were in that period working on the first website of Prashanti Nilayam. I was part of that team that was creating the first website. I know I always joke saying that we probably are the first blokes in this world who had created a website without ever having browsed the internet. Right, the internet had not yet come to Prashanti Nilayam. We used to imagine that that website would be like this, website would be this way. So we would imagine Prashanti Nilayam on the virtual Prashanti Nilayam. There should be the images and this and that. And for the first time when we browsed, we saw that that the screen coming little while. We were so disappointed. Is this the internet? But I remember that initial project, and as we were working on that project, we got that's the thing, is it not? Where Swami gives us an opportunity to work on something, and as we start working, we get to meet so many brothers and sisters, so many like-minded individuals. It expands our consciousness unbelievably, and that's the main point of all this sharing is that we need to create those opportunities for youngsters to participate in, for young adults to engage in. And me as a young adult, in the late 1990s and early 2000s, we were, it was like holding our heart on our sleeves, telling that this is my heart, Swami, and my throbbing heart I offer to you, and willing to work for you, willing to offer everything to you. That overpowering flow of gratitude for Swami, right? Of feeling that everything that we have is your giving, is been given by you, and we are offering it back to you. That was the motivation in the heart of a 24, 25-year-old youngster, and all my brothers, I remember, were driven by the same motivation, right? And this first project that we did, as we worked on the Prashanti Nilayam website, srisatyaSai.org in those days, and we got a chance to take inputs from satyasai.org, that is Professor David Grice used to run. And we shared this CD. I shared this CD with him, and he then, it was each Satyasai Speak was one monolith file. He divided it into smaller files, chapter wise, and then categorized it and kept it on presented on the international website, and it got transferred back to the book trust. Book trust claimed that we have got copyright for that, and it went back to book on the book trust side. But that searchable link came from that innocuous CD that was lying somewhere in Purnachandra, and it's a labor of love of so many devotees, I'm sure, who have worked on this, and it inspired me no end. So this I thought I should share with all of you as we speak about those, and instead of just going through the daily life of Swami and seeing, because I know that the topic is learnings from the daily lives of Swami. Instead of looking at the daily routine, these are these moments, very, very unassuming moments at Bhagwan's lotus feet, right? Very, very simple looking events that have been a lifetime of inspiration for many youngsters like me. And I always see myself as one of those fortunate youngsters of amongst millions who have been touched at the core by this divine incarnation, right? And by this divine master. So these were some of some of the thoughts that were top of my mind as I had interacted with some of the brothers and sisters from the SSSIO International Organization, Kerala, Canada. And as I was interacting with brother Shiva and brother Nitin and sister Preeti and sister Kamala, I realized that one of the topmost topics in their mind is the handing over from the Parikshit generation to the next generation, right? And I call ourselves the Parikshit generation because we are the ones who have seen the form and are now dealing with the existence in a formless world. And that was Parikshit's plight, right? Parikshit was, as all of us know, the son of Abhimanyu, the grandson of the Pandavas, who was given that onerous responsibility of wearing the crown when the Pandavas decided to take leave and go to the forest after Krishna left his mortal coils. And Swami brings that to life so powerfully. Parikshit's agony of in the Bhagavad Vahini, if you look at it, he brings it out so powerfully. The agony of Parikshit as he has to. He's a young boy. He's presented as a young boy at that point of time, who is unwilling to accept the fact that he will not have his grand uncles and his grandparents to support him, or he is being left alone, often once again, because he had already lost his father in the battle, and now the grandsires are all leaving, and the agony of that boy is so beautifully expressed, right? And yet the responsibility that he needs to take up, I think that perfectly describes each one of us, right? Where we go through the agony of having seen the Lord and then missing and then not being able to see him. That agony is something that we have to deal with. Every time there is a pining, every time we feel that every time there's a trouble and we cannot look back and go and touch our foreheads on that lotus feet, every time we go and listen to his discourse or a bhajan that he sings, when those things are no longer available to us, that agony intensifies. But yet we know that there is a tremendous amount of responsibility that is given to us. And one of the biggest responsibilities that I heard from our brothers and sisters was, how do we make sure that the young adults are filled with devotion? How do we make sure that they develop an implicit faith in the Lord? The young adults develop a implicit faith in the Lord. So this was a question topmost in the hearts of the brothers and sisters, the seniors of the organization. I thought that let me see how do we look at this question of molding the young adults and bring out my own experiences of seeing Swami in action, Swami working on me personally, and seeing Swami in action working on all those youngsters around him, the patience, the respect for them as individual divine sparks, right? The delegation of responsibility to the teachers to do certain things, and then but keeping some responsibilities solely on himself, right? These are some of the this is the kind of framework that I thought we will use for bringing out some beautiful lessons from Bhagwan's life. One of the main things that came to mind as the brothers and sisters were speaking about how do we instill devotion in the hearts of young adults, the first thing that came to mind was a very, very strong statement that I've heard Swami give multiple times to young adults themselves, who are saying that we want to fill our district with devotion for Swami. We are, or the the spiritual movement saying that we want people to be devoted to Swami, and Swami would say, or the Satsang organization itself saying that we want devotion in the hearts of all our brothers and sisters in our district. And Swami would say that you take care of your work, I will look after my work. Me pani meer chuskondi, Swami pani Swami chuskuntaru. Instilling devotion in their hearts is not your task. That is my task, Bhagavan would say, right? He would say that I will take care of the devotion part. That is not in your hands. You are not going to be able to do that. He does not want us to be zealots going and trying to convert people and like inject or do inject Swami into the hearts of others. That's not his task. His task is, he very, very clearly says that live an ideal life and continue to do seva, right? These are the two things that he has always been speaking about, telling that you lead an ideal life, you become a role model. People watching your life should automatically start trying to figure out who is this, what is the inspiration behind a life like this? Why are these people leading an extraordinary life that we commoners are not? I'm using the word commoners very loosely here, that we others are not. And that inspiration should start a quest in their own lives, because trying to take on that responsibility of instilling Swami from the outside into somebody will only meet with resistance of ideologies, resistance of culture, various kinds of resistance, right? Because we are a human being is designed to fight viruses, right? Any external effort to fight antibodies, and any ideological antibody also will be repelled, right? And that is not our task. That is not our task. Our task is to live ideal, beautiful, happy, peaceful lives, right? And to keep serving and to lead a life of service, lead a life of a consciousness expanded beyond the petty needs or the small needs of our own livelihoods, right? And these are important inspirations that we need to give for the young adults also. And second aspect, when it comes to adults, is patience. The young adults is patience, right? And the patience of patience with their transition, patience in their transition from childhood to adulthood through that minefield called adolescence, right? And as they tread carefully through that, and I'll just go back to my own childhood and take a few anecdotes and share some of those experiences of those few moments in my entire childhood that I had with Swami, at a distance out there. It was in 1984. I was a 10-year-old boy when we had gone to Parthi for the first time and had Swami's darshan. We stayed there for about a week. It was October, nice cool period, Diwali time. Just before Diwali, we had gone, and from there we had gone to the entire South India tour. I still remember so vividly, and those divine darshans on there was no music, no flute in those days. Just that Swami gliding over those beautiful sands, and my eyes as a 10-year-old would be locked on Swami for the first part. But the moment Swami crossed me, my eyes would choose and lock itself on one footprint, right, on the sands, and I would then forget Swami. My focus was, as soon as darshan gets over, to jump to grab a pile of a handful of that sand. As a 10-year-old, that's a great moment, and and then to hold that and keep it with us, maybe tied in a handkerchief, and see whether and that was like a big thing for me as a 10-year-old. I remember playing that beauty of that sand, that softness of that sand. I still remember. Those are greater memories in my mind than Bhagwan to me as a 10-year-old. As a child, it's always playfulness. And to me, the connect to Swami happened with a dream, right? And I think we had come back to Bombay, and and it was about 6 to 8 months after this, somewhere in 1985, early 1985, where I had this dream of Swami, where I am sitting and making a mound of a mountain or a hill or a mound on the sands of Prashanti Nilayam. And uh, as I keep doing that, I realize that Swami is approaching me. And there is the towering Swami. I was tiny, so the 5 feet 3 inch Swami looked very towering for me. And he is standing, just, his feet are just next to the mound that I've just created, and I'm worried that he's going to stamp on that, or he's going to scold me for being indisciplined and playing when I should be focusing spiritually, and or whatever, those things. And I'm like looking at him with, not, I still remember, my hands are still on that mound, protecting the mound, and I'm looking at him with, with fear. And Bhagwan, he sits next to me. He sits on the other side of the sand, and he starts making the mound with me. Right? To me, that was the connect. Right? What Swami says, that leave that to me, leave the installation of leave my installation in the hearts of devotees to me. It is not your task. It is not you. My father could not have done it. My mother could not have done it. Nothing could have happened. But that connect that Swami did of of that experience of coming and sitting in front of me in that dream, and then playing with me, that made the instant connect. And then that photograph that was there in the altar, or the stories that I would hear, father talking about, or the once in a while going to some devotee's house and listening to Swami's miracles and his leelas, those started becoming real to me only after this incident. That was the connect. He did that. No, I mean, none of those things would have made sense to me. And after that, that photo became live to me, right? And I started interacting. I started responding to that photograph. And there was this beautiful photograph which had this line underneath saying that if you look at me, I look at you. And it was, it was actually an unnerving photograph, because wherever in the room you move around, you find the eyes following you, right? The eyes are exactly following you, and wherever you go. And it was quite unnerving to me as a youngster. And and that thing really scared me. That's line, if you look at me, I look at you. And I used to go to this corner of the room, I used to go to that corner of the room. I'm a 10 8 9 10 year old youngster, experimenting with parallax, and not understanding the concept of parallax of physics, and then doing all these things. But it was real to me. And it became even more when the Papa Bhiti thing started coming in, because the pap that I used to conduct, the sin that I used to indulge in, was stealing chocolate from the fridge, from the refrigerator. And that refrigerator was just under the altar. There was an altar in Bombay, small houses, so altars have to find space, in the not on the floor, but it's somewhere on the walls, and we have to economize on space. And there was the altar, and this was the refrigerator. And I would slowly, when mother was sleeping, I used to slowly sneak in the afternoon, after and take out a small chocolate or a sweet, and then run to the hall, and then leisurely eat that. But now, with mother sleeping, I had understood the pattern of what disturbs mother, and what should I not do. Learned the art of opening the fridge without any sound and closing it. But now this was the bigger challenge, right? If you look at me, I look at you, and that photograph, and I should be nervous. And to a 10-year mind, the solution was very, very obvious, very brilliant solution, of saying that, the saying is, if you look at me, I look at you. So I made it a point that I never looked at that photograph, right? Don't look at the photograph, look down, take it, just keep your eye on mother, make sure you're safe from this lady, because he has been taken out of contention, because I'm not looking at him anymore. And I would pick. So this was this was the interaction that kept happening. And this is how a child starts. This is one of the incidents, of course, but every child. I was talking to my daughter the other day, and she was talking about her relationship with Swami, how some photograph she had fallen in love with. And and I'm sure each of you would have heard stories in your SSC movement about how Swami does that initial work, right? And to me it was always, then it became that fear of Swami slowly turned into prayers, and telling that Swami, please do this stuff, this for me, please do that for me. That's the next phase that comes in, right, where you're whining and pining more than pining, you're whining for some gift or the other. And that phase had started. And exams, before exams, no, Swami used to say very nicely, he says, when custom Sankatam was the Venkataramana. So when there is Sankat, you remember Venkataramana, right? So and only when you have problems, you go to the Lord. And that became my phase of life for some time. But I remember in my 10th class was a turning point. I was 15 years old, and I had done reasonably okay in my board exams, but I was not expecting that high a score, because I was a 72% chap, marks. And when I saw the results, it was 80%, and I was overjoyed. I thought that, my God, I have conquered Mount Everest. And I came home, rushing home from the school, wanting to share it with my parents, and telling everybody, I have conquered the earth, kind of a thing. And I, to my utter dismay, I found that there was nobody at home. I entered the house. I was jumping up and down. I had shared it with all my friends. Everybody in the town of Mumbai, in the city of Mumbai, had known that Satya had got 80%, but I had not been able to speak to my parents. So I was pacing up and down. Where have they gone? And why are they not here? And then my eyes fell on this person who looks at you when you look at him, right? So I thought I have to share it with someone, right? So I just held the altar, and I was shouting, I got 80%, Swami, can you hear me? I got 80%. And I remember for the first time that joy, that joy increasing manifold. And I got into that phase where, he is not the one whom you go to only to share your problems. He's the one with whom you share your joys, and that joy becomes manifold. And that was a turning moment for me as a 15-year-old, and all these things had come about organically, right? I then joined my junior college, and suddenly found a completely different world, of freedom, freed from the blue and white uniform and the necktie, immersed in the various colors of college life. And for those 2 years, and rational thought started coming in. This is the phase of adolescence, where you project your individuality, is it not, where we want to be seen as an individuals, when we are just growing our fresh mustache, and feeling proud of that mustache. And that becomes the most prized possession of our lives as boys, right? And that mustache brings in that sense of pride. And then that is a moment I see in many students, many youngsters, where they feel that they are becoming distant from the Lord, right? They feel that, and that pining, saying that, why is that loss of innocence, that loss of that innocence of childhood is an angst of every adolescent, right? And I went through that, because for me, then the question started coming in. Hey guy, you have been speaking to that photograph for so many years now, but is the photograph really listening to you? Is it listening, or is it a childish play? Is it your fantasy friend? Is it your the friend that you have created in the mind? So these are questions that are genuine, that genuinely comes. And it is good for these questions to come, because once those questions are resolved, the engagement with the divine goes at a different level. And that is the patience that is required. I mean, if at that moment there is an external intervention, to young adults, or to the adolescents, when the external intervention saying that, no, that's not right, this is, and that's the phase where you cannot be judgmental, right? Because judgment is something that is absolutely not acceptable in the 14 to 20 age group, right? And you have lost that connect. And that's the patience of the divine, of the Lord, right? I remember, for me, after having struggled with those questions for 2 years, when I finally, in 1991, when I joined Swami's institution, To me, all the answers came with just the first line that Swami spoke to me, right? It was on the fourth day of my stay in the hostel. It was a summer course period. And as I was, the momentum of the Mumbai life had continued, had taken me to Prashant Nilayam, and I had returned the entrance. I had passed the entrance, got in, felt extremely again that same proud moment. I have gotten to Prashant Nilayam. My sadly, very very sadly, my mustache had to go, that was a painful experience to come in front of my father after the first shave. It's a big moment, yeah. I mean, but that was these were. I'm painting the picture of an adolescent growing, because we are speaking about young adults here, and it's so, my own life is etched in my mind, but I think it resonates with in a different way with every one of us, with every one of our children that we deal with. So this youngster with a freshly shaven mustache had entered the portals of Bhagwan's institution, had seen Swami as a student, being clad in white. I had seen Swami in a, my first darshan of Swami as a student was from the top, because suddenly I had heard thundering footsteps running. All Swami has come to the hostel, and I ran. I had just unpacked my bags in the hostel, and I was just figuring out where to put my bed or what to do. And then this thundering of feet I heard. I ran. I too ran with them, and then from the stairs, which was all packed with boys, I was looking down, and there was Bhagwan standing in the middle with all the boys around him, right? And as Swami was standing, there were boys were all around him, and I could see a pulsating heart, right? This is how it was. Swami was in the center, and from the top I was seeing this, this is how it looks like from the top, the view of the boys coming closer, going far, coming closer. It was like a pulsating heart to me. It was so poetic, and that was my first darshan of Bhagwan. I could just see the black crown and the shoulders of the orange robe from top, and there was all these boys coming. The reason of the pulsation is that the boys from the back wanted to come forward, and the boys in the front were mortally afraid that if I fall on Swami, I'm going to be expelled, and they were pushing back, right? And that was creating the pulsation, a pulsating moment of those not near wanting to come near, and those near afraid to go any closer, right? And that is what the spiritual, the entire, it's an essence of all the spirituality, is it not? Saying that that don't go too close to the fire, you may get burnt, kind of a thing, is an advice that Swami is like fire. Don't stay too far away, you may not get the warmth. Don't come too close, you may get burnt. Was a big philosophical thought in those days, and I would always wonder, because I for me the immediate counter to the thought was that the whole purpose of life is to become vibhuti, right? And so why are you afraid of the fire? Jump in, boss, and experience that whole thing. And that's what I got to do 5 years later. But this was the pulsation that I saw. That was the first darshan of Swami. And 4 days later, that euphoria of having got into Swami's institution had gone, and the momentum of Bombay life had come back. I was making friends. I was making, I was slowly getting back into that habit of chattering and talking and exuberance, and what is the word that my warden had used for me was boisterous, right? That boisterousness, and I thought it was a compliment because it fit me well. He had meant it as a complaint, but I felt it was a compliment. So boisterousness was the thing. So, and as I was talking to my friend, they were serving idlis, and I said that kya yaar, sirf 4 idli dete hain, main to 10 idli khata tha ghar mein. What, man, these guys are serving only 4 idlis. I should eat 10 idlis at home. And so they gave me the idlis. I had those idlis, went and sat in mandir. Swami opened the Trai Vrindavan door. I still remember that lush green lawns, that those Ashoka trees, the deer behind, the deer cage behind. It was those old days, and we were all seated under those Ashoka trees on that pathway. And Bhagwan, there was a small narrow path left for Bhagwan to walk, and we were all excited. All both the campuses, Brindavan campus, Parthi campus, and a few probably 12th class boys had all come together. And as Swami was coming out of the mandir, he looked at me. He made an eye contact. And it's fourth day, right? I was in the fourth line, sitting in the fourth line, and four idlis. It was something. The magic of four was coming, was just unfolding on that day. And as Swami went, I was elated, and there was the other boys and who were just poking me. Swami looked at you, man, and I was floating 4 inches above the ground. And I was saying, thinking that, oh, Swami has looked at me. Swami finished the darshan rounds. He came back from quite a distance. He again made eye contact from me. Hey, what's for breakfast? And I did not hear. I just looked up what is Swami saying, and then the whole group erupted with idli, Swami, idli. So then I realized Swami had asked what's for breakfast, and I said, Swami, okay, idli, Swami. And he came. How many idlis? I had heard it as how many days. Fortunately, the answer to both was 4, and I said, Swami, 4, right? And when Swami came very close and he said, 10 idli khata hai? I said, are you going to eat 10 idlis? I'm telling you, I thought that I'm going to be expelled because I had spoken. I mean, because that's the fear, right? Because the whole atmosphere of Prashanti of the hostel is that if you take one wrong step, you're out, boss. It was so difficult to get in, but to get out, it's like this. So I thought I'm going to get expelled. That was my first thought. I thought, no, Swami, no, Swami. And I could that sound is going on in my ear, right? And I used to keep joking, saying that I could hear the earth rotating at that point of time. That was that humming sound because of the fear. And Bhagwan, he tells me, 10 idli khata hai? I told, no, Swami. Hey, such bolo. Swami, no, Swami. Kitna idli? Swami, 4 idlis. Big idli, small idli. I told Swami, big idli, Swami. I didn't want to make a mistake again. Hey, not big, not small, medium idli. And he described the exact shape of the idli, etc. He made the comment and he went away. To me, that one interaction, dear brothers and sisters, was such a powerful answer to everything, every question of mine. That big question, that do you listen to me when I speak to you, to speak to that photograph, right? That question that was lingering for 2 years. Again, that it was only the divine intervention. Nobody could have answered that question. I would have gone into for long debates with anybody else, telling that, does the photograph listen to you? You could have given me lots of discourses about it being a genuine conversation, it being the opening of the heart. But my question was, does the photograph listen to me? And here was Bhagwan interacting, saying that not only am I listening to you when you're speaking to the photograph, but I am speaking to you when you're when you are being a good for nothing and speaking to your friends and bragging about the number of idlis you eat, right? And that became a reality in my life, right? That became a reality in my life. And again, that as an adolescent, as now as an 18-year-old, as I was growing, that again, that what shall I say, that leash, if I may say, was put around my neck, saying that yes, you're free, but there is a limit. That I am watching, that there is accountability. And that came into my mind, and that whole reconciliation back, right, of that childhood faith, that love, that innocent engagement with Swami, to that loss of this thing, to that that search of the right answer, and then the engagement of accountability that came in. That was a very powerful moment for me, and I'm sure every child goes through this this kind of a journey. And I think we as adults who are guiding the young adults towards a life of purpose, towards a life of grace, I think we need to be patient with that process. I think as they go through the process. The next thing that I felt was, which is very important, is that is respecting the children, is respecting the young adults, right? That is one beautiful thing that unfolded to me in those 13 years of stay, as I saw Swami give opportunities to boys, allow them to make mistakes, allow them to grow in his presence. And the leadership that he built amongst us, it was mind blowing. The firing that he would give to us for topics that was beyond our control, right? He would fire us for for lapse in something that was completely not our mistake. And by giving that firing, he would encourage us to take that additional responsibility, because he has held me accountable for something that I was not accountable for, right? These were important tenets of leadership that I learned from Swami, right? And he was merciless when it came to came to work, right? When it came to the rigor of if he finds that you're not done your work rigorously, if proper attention has not been given to detail, I would see him being ruthless in the way he fired people around him. And because it was that ownership, that complete ownership to the task, was something that he wanted us to do that, right? And that is his way of respecting. At the same time, he would give absolute empowerment. I remember especially the people who were in charge of security or in charge of crowd control, etc. There would be continuous complaints against them, right? Somebody or the other would have been not allowed to come, or some letter would come about Shauri auntie, some letter would come about the equivalent on this thing. But Swami would never ever take cognizance of those letters. His empowerment is complete, his empowerment is supreme. And but he would go and give a firing to that person, saying, let's see, there are a lot of complaints coming about you, be careful, but do your duty well, right? And this respect, this trust was one thing. But the next level that I found was a was an incident that I'll never forget. Bhagwan had this was sometime in 2010, and we had just started the Vidyavani program, and I was overwhelmed, right? I was really getting worried about how do we design this program. So Swami had told that you start this Vidyavani program, make a presentation to Ratan Tata, and so we were working towards it, and it was really becoming an overwhelming task, because Swami's health was not at the best at that point of time, 2010. That responsibility was there, and Bhagwan at that point of time had said that you make a presentation to Ratan Tata, and you do this project. And I was really struggling, because 5 years of my life, from say not five, I've been nearly 6 to 7 years. 2003 August was the last time that I had gone to the office, right? From 2003 to 2010, for 7 years, I was only inside Purnachandra earlier, and then in the Yajur Mandir, right? My world had started shrinking. The physical world had started shrinking. I used to read a lot. I used to read a lot on the internet, browse things, etc. Keep my minds open that way. But then my world had shrunk. It was only Swami and Swami alone that was the focus. And then I was being asked to create this project called the Vidyavani. So it was overwhelming at that point of time. But then as I started interacting with people, as we started engaging again, engaging with those ideas, I saw that it was not a shrinking, it was actually a concentration that had happened. It was all the dissipated aspects of the mind had actually got concentrated, and I could find it just opening up like springs, like founts. And and in one of those days, one of those exuberance, I was there was some small workshop that we were working towards, and we were looking at how to engage our senior Anandpur sisters who were housewives now, who have done their good post graduation in Anandpur and other places, and in Anandpur, and then had gone on to do further studies, but now we're housewives, right? We're homemakers. And how do we engage their energies? How do we bring them into the whole thought process? How do we engage the brothers, the alumni who are in good positions, are doing professionally well? How do we bring them all in to support the education system? That was the thought process that was looking at, and we were trying to engage and do so many things. And on that day, I still remember Swami had come up to his room, and it was late in the afternoon. It was slightly late in the afternoon. He had his lunch, and he had come, and instead of lying on the bed, he was just, I remember that chair next to his bed, right? And he was still in the chair, and I was thinking that I'd lift him and make him lie down, but he told, "Puchuntano, I'll sit for some time." And it was a very unusual thing, right? Because he would come, he would do a lot of talking down with others, the Chakravarti sir, and then the moment he came up, he would rest for a while. But there he came, and he told me to sit. I sat down. I sat down on the floor, and the moment he said sit, the automatic movement is that you sit down and then you start pressing his feet. And I was doing that path seva, and he's very casually asked, "So what's happening? Em jarugutunnai? Em samacharam, em jarugutunnai?" And I said, Swami, we are doing this workshop is happening, and no, there are so many devotees that are so many brothers and sisters who are coming in, and so many other devotees who are coming in, and it's such a joy to do this, Swami. And and I started opening up about what are the possibilities of education, what are the possibilities that we can do, how education is limited to only the textbooks, how we need to give so many other opportunities to children, all the things that I had experienced in my life, which I had seen blossoming me, helping me to blossom. I was speaking on those lines, right? And I was speaking, I was like, I had got lost into it. It was like, he had given us an opening, and that spring was flowing through, and I was talking and talking and talking. I never speak so much in front of Swami, but that day I was just talking for about 5, 10, 15 minutes. I would have spoken, and Swami was listening very intently. I still remember Swami encouraging, and that eyes were bright, and he was listening with a lot of this thing. And then he said something, and he said, when I just said Swami, then I realized that I've spoken a lot. I shrunk back and I did this, Swami, ఎక్కువ మాట్లాడాను Swami. I spoke too much. ఎందుకు ఇలాంటి మంచి మంచి మాటలు అప్పుడప్పుడు నాకు కూడా చెప్తుండాలి. He says, why? These kinds of good things, every once in a while, you should tell me too. I thought that's a slap on my face, right? My first reaction was, that's a slap on my face. That who am I to tell good things to Swami? I thought Swami was being sarcastic, and I had offended him. And I said, Swami, kshaminchali Swami, tappain Swami. I've really, held his feet, Swami. Swami, please don't. But then I realized that Swami is genuine in that compliment. And he said, the next line that he said, that ఆ నోట్తో వస్తే ఏమి, ఈ నోట్తో వస్తే ఏమి, మంచి మాటలే. So that how does it matter whether it comes from that mouth or this mouth? Good words are good words. It was such a powerful statement, dear brothers and sisters. It was that respect for the youth, that respect for the young adults, that allows them to open up, that allows them to blossom in their true effulgence, right? This is the master in action. To say that, how does it matter which mouth does it come from? That oneness of entity, that oneness of that in that one moment he removed all difference of bodies, right? He made us realize, he makes us realize that same spark is there in us. That was, and this one incident and the other incident where on the evening of on the evening that I was supposed to make a presentation to Bhagwan, to Mr. Ratan Tata, and he had been following up with me on that, how is your preparation going on, and all those things. And he had told me to, very, very offhandedly, so Ratna vastunnadu, that Ratna is coming, you make a presentation to him. I was wondering, who is Ratna? I realized that he's referring to Mr. Ratan Tata, right? And, and I told him, and we were thinking of a small project, in Educare, and he was telling that you make a presentation to Mr. Ratan Tata. I'm so grateful that Professor Panchanathan from US and Brother Harish Naidu, both of them had helped me at that point of time to refine that presentation, that huge presentation of cluttered thoughts. They had sifted through that and made into a proper business presentation, and those were experiences that he had created for us, and we were ready with the presentation. And I had to go through multiple rounds of presentation to with Chakra, with Giri sir and with the GV sir. Both of them I had to. Swami had told me to make that presentations to both of them and take their input. So they had grilled me on that presentation. So I was reasonably prepared, but still there was tremendous amount of nervousness. And Swami, that afternoon I was supposed to make the presentation late in the night, around 8:30 to Mr. Ratan Tata when he had come to Parthi. And around 3 o'clock when Swami was going for darshan, he looked at me with a smile. Emra, prepare now. Are you prepared? And I remember, Swami, Chesam Swami, Swami there to Chestam. Swami, we've done something. We will finish with Swami's grace. And I had taken, Tisco, and he told Tisco, told take, and pointed at his feet and said take. And I bent down and I put my head onto his shoulder. That coolness of his feet on the fold on a overheated head, right, is such a beautiful feeling. And on the my forehead as it touched, and as I looked up and I got up and wanted. Normally, what you do is the moment you finish that, you want an eye contact with Swami, right? To complete that whole thing, that you want an eye contact. And as I looked up, Swami had closed his eyes. Swami was with both his hands. His hands were like this. It was like this on this and he had closed that eyes and he was blessing. That had such an impact on me, right? Telling that and that evening, when Swami finished his mandir darshan, we probably would have spoken to Mr. Ratan Tata there, and he came back and I was serving him dinner, and all the vice chancellor and the former vice chancellors were all seated. Couple of trustees, Mr. V. Srinivasan and Chakravarti sir, all were seated there. And as I was serving him, he finished the whole thing. He finished his dinner. I went inside. I took the plate inside. I was washing the plate when the cook came running and said, "Swami is calling you. Swami is calling you." And I gave the plate to him, and I rushed to Swami. So, hey, Itra. I was standing behind. Hey, Itra, come here. So I came front and I knelt down next to him. And he looked at everybody else and he said, Chudandi, and they were all having their food. He said, listen here. Ina edo Ratan Tata ki chaptunnadu ee roju. He is going to tell something to Ratan Tata today. Chinna pillavadu is a young boy. Bhayapadtadu. Koncham chinna pillavadu nervous ga unnadu. Bhayapadtunnadu. He is a bit nervous. He's afraid. Kani idi ina edi cheppina meerandaru yes cheppandi. But whatever he says, all of you say yes, right? I was like, he is the vice chancellors and everybody, and he's saying, whatever he says, you all of you be there, and whatever he says, you say yes. Again, that was the booster of confidence, saying that he's acknowledging to all the flaws. He's acknowledging that he's inexperienced, he's young, he's afraid, he's nervous, yet support him. I think that's the essence of supporting young adults, right? That's the essence of our movement, dear brothers and sisters. As elders, as part of this organization, as we start focusing on how to pass on that energy, pass on that ownership of the organization, ownership of this movement, ownership of this beautiful way of life. We want, as we are focusing towards passing it on to the next generation, to bring them into this. I think these are some important principles, right? That patience, that respect, that seeing them as part of us, as a continuity, and giving them that that space to figure out their own individuality, and giving them that confidence that the way you interpret. It is going to be, that interpretation is going to be nothing but the divine spark in you interpreting that, and interpreting that universal principles for your cultural context. Their cultural context is going to be completely different from ours. Our generation is different. When I look at the kind of classes that my daughter goes into, the kind of personality development classes that they go through, the discussions that are happening about gender and gender fluidity and all those, these are absolutely new concepts to me, right? Today we the concept of gender fluidity was never there in our world, right? And so how do I impose my sense of values onto her, right? It is not possible. It is, no, my values were my values 30 years back, right? Values are universal, but needs to be interpreted to the contextual world. And I know there are core principles that, that will never be compromised. It is, but core principles in the form of dogmatic rules will always be rejected by the next generation. I think that distinction is very important for all of us as we work towards an organization that is perennially relevant, right? That's important. That it is perennially, it's a millennial organization. Across millennia, that it has to be relevant. And if that has to happen, it cannot be cast in stone. It cannot be dogmatically defined. It has to be, the principles, the core principles, the universal principles that have come, that have seen the test of time over the last so many millennia. I think those principles have to be taken forward, and the avatar has come only to redefine that, to rekindle that, to connect us to the first principles, right? And not to remove the clutter of dogmatic thought, to remove the clutter of segmented religions, of silos. He has removed all those silos and has made us think of that pure, ever existent reality, right? That's what he has always focused on. And I think that is, we need to keep visiting that. And our study, our literature survey, our project works, our life study has to reflect that. I'll just end with a beautiful interaction that I had with a young doctor from Australia as I was preparing for the previous satsang. And he just we were exchanging notes about how should we be running the Australia satsang. And he has a 8-year-old or a 9-year-old, and he asked me, how old is your daughter? I told her she's 15. So he said, so I'll come back to you for the next for the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 advice, right? How do I deal with my daughter in the next 4 years? So and I sent a beautiful a nice post that I had made. It had come to, I had put this on my Facebook account, which summarizes all the thoughts that I was speaking about respect and engagement with the next generation. I think today's session has become the young adult session. Taking relevant incidents from Swami's life in the grooming of young adults. I think that is how it has become. I think as the discussion forward, I think this will be a nice roundup of this, and I'll read it out. This was a beautiful poem that my daughter had shared with me, and I was so fascinated by the 14-year-old mind, and this is what I had written, and allow me to please read this. It's a small passage. And I say that, the joy of engaging a growing mind. The joy of engaging a growing mind. Yes, engaging describes the process better than molding today. I realize today that the molding phase is over. That phase belonged to the time when I helped pluck out her wriggly tooth, or when we competed to bring down each other's Jenga block fortresses, or when we made faces at the camera filters. Oh yes, those were the days where I could presume that I was molding the mind of my little one. But today she's all of 14, a mind like a hungry sponge, like a powerful processing unit connected to innumerable sources of knowledge, drinking in every bit, reading, listening, singing, humming, dancing, writing, sketching, painting, creating. I no longer labor under the misconception that I mold that pulsating orb of intense electric synaptic activity. No, sir, no such misgivings, no molding. I engage with delight. I tap in to explore the thinking of the new generation. I admire the chaotic, gradual process of construction of a worldview that will be her own. Indeed, a world indeed a world of her own. Who am I to think that I can mold when she is molding her own world? Well, all this reflection emanated from the surprise poem that I received from the pulsating orb the other day. And the last line just blew me away. And here's the poem: Atlas. She lay there in the ashes and dust, unable to rise from the ground that bore her, unable to escape from the chains that bound her. Patterns danced across her being like stars in the midnight sky. Her hair was tangled up in wisps of smoke. Her voice was known to be honeyed over, like sunshine on a rainy day, but it was drained out. It was drained out over the centuries by cries and screams and war. Golden ichor tainted her form. I realized later ichor means the divine blood. Though it's a Greek concept of the divine blood that flows in the gods. So golden ichor tainted her form as her eyes flicked up. She had blood of the gods, and her eyes, oh, her eyes were dazzling orbs of blue. But behind those mesmerizing, hypnotizing orbs lay a pain no one could see, a struggle, a journey through eons had torn away at her shoulders. When those slender arms had once lifted the weight of the world upon them, a smirk crept up her face as she scoffed. When she realized there was no one to do it now, there was no one who could replace her. After all, she held the world on her shoulders. Who said Atlas was a man? Who said Atlas was a man? Right? It's a 14-year-old, coming forth with her worldview, with power, with energy, and to think that I would mold it, I would try to mold it it's wrong. It's I only see that spark. Itla manchi ilanti manchi maatalu appudapudu nu kuda naaku cheptundali, right? Such good things I should learn from my daughter. I should learn from the next generation. I think that give and take, when we engage in that give and take with the young adults, I think with the SSE movements who are turning into young adults, as very quickly, I think when we keep that culture alive, I think and I think Canada is the most suited to do that, because I know that the SSE movement in Canada is a very advanced movement there. The Sathya school movement is far advanced in Canada, I think, and the openness of culture, the kind of thought process that I saw, the beautiful unity, the unity in diversity that I see in Canada. I think you, dear brothers and sisters, are best suited to lead in this journey of molding young adults. I think and I look forward to being part of some of those discussions, if possible. Where some of the best SSE movements across the world can come together and visualize how do we hand over to the next generation? How do we prepare the next generation to create what I said, the perennial institution, an institution that is relevant perennially across millennia, right? And it cannot be done with dogmatic ideas, with ideas imprisoned in time, or ideas imprisoned in place, in space. It has to be beyond time and space. It has to be eternal. I think with those few words, I'll stop this reflections, dear brothers and sisters. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm of course open to question and answers for the next few minutes. Thank you. Wonderful to have had this opportunity, brothers.
Sai Ram, thank you so much, Brother Satyajit. What a wonderful talk. I have some very good takeaways from it. As we go into question and answers, I just wanted to check with you on time. Should we limit it to about 15 minutes?
We are on a Sunday, so I'm okay. So
all right.
It depends on how late it is for you all. I'm just starting my day, so no issues.
Fantastic. So, brother, we had the first question as you had the privilege to live with Swami day in and day out. How hard or easy was it for you to keep yourself in constant awareness that you're living with the ultimate Parbrahmanam?
This is a question that comes very often to me, and it is not difficult. It is not easy. right? It is because you are always held accountable. You need to be, you need to be perfectly clued in. You need to be responsive. You need to anticipate the needs. You need to you're filled. And but then though all those things are expected of you, it becomes easy because it is all out of love, right? It is, he has set the expectation of love with you. He has filled you with so much of love and care that it is an outpouring of gratitude to be in his presence, outpouring of gratitude to be at his service. I think and it is not at all relevant to the physical presence. It is true for the universal existence, where we are, uh, where all your lives are dedicated to the cause, right? All your lives are, so I could ask the same question back to you: how easy or difficult is it for you to be constantly focused with all your family troubles and all your professional lives? How easy or difficult is it to focus on Swami? I think I consistently make this point, telling that do not consider the physical form to be different from the universal form, right? It is not the dearness proximity to the physical form that is important. It is, and especially for the perennial organization that we're talking about, it is important to understand the universal form. And do not idolize people who have been physically close to them. It is idolize or not, do not idolize anybody. I mean, you engage, you hold everyone accountable. You hold me accountable, whether my thoughts are in sync with the universal thought process or not. You hold me accountable. You don't idolize me. Sorry, I'm making it very obvious. Don't idolize me for being for those 13 years that I've served. Hold me accountable for the 13 years that he has spent in molding me, right? If I am not accountable for that, then I am doing a great disservice, right? So hold me accountable for the 13 years that he has spent in me. Has he spent it? Has that been a good investment, or have I been a wasteful investment? Right? I think these are important things for an institution to be perennially active, to hold each other accountable, right? Because everyone who is in any responsible position, or who has been assigned a responsibility, that a responsibility could be to push the wheelchair, that responsibility could be to do pad seva, the responsibility could be to serve dinner, that responsibility could be to run an organization, run an institution, run a district, run a county, right? Or run the Bal Vikas movement or the SSC movement or a school, right? It's all the same. It's a responsibility that has been conferred. So being at that, so I put the question back: how easy or difficult is it for you to be constantly in awareness of the Parabrahman, right? How easy or difficult it is? How well do you? How frequently do you realize that it is not a day-to-day task, not a procedure to be followed, but a perennial institution to be built, right? So how often are we focused on, and that you know and always whenever I allow my small Satya, in the Satya with a small s, to project, it is the limitation. But the moment I am able to project the capital S Satya, which is there inside, I think I am at a different level of consciousness. I think that is what was the case with Swami also. Being in the physical. Sorry, what it was the case with being in the physical proximity of Swami too. Right. I had my petty thoughts. I had my smallness of mind, and I would be pulled up for that. And you said, "Where do you think I am?" Now, right? I know he had. In one of those days when I had entered the interview room from the hostel, I was still in the hostel, and he was furious with me. He was telling that, "Hey, where is your mind wandering? Where is it going all over the place?" No, and he described, "No, Swami, I'm focused, Swami. I'm all innocent looking, and telling him, no, Swami, I was completely focused, and this and that." And he explained my journey from the hostel gate, that 1 kilometer walk from the hostel gate to the mandir interview door. He described every single moment, right? Where did I how did I come out of the hostel? Where did I cross the road towards from the hostel side to the institute side? Where did I recross it back to the Prashanti Nilayam side? Where did I see the dog? And why did I cross? Because I saw a dog here and crossed on the other side. I'm afraid of dogs, right? That cure has come from my daughter, because she's a dog lover, and now I'm slowly letting go of that dog, so of that fear for dogs. But the thing is, he explained to me where I crossed the road, which shop names I had seen on the road, which shop names I had seen on the road, right? How did I enter? How did I do namaskar to Ganesha? How did I tell Sairam to that Sevadal with one hand? I did not do this. I did this, right? And how did I do Sairam to my Sudhir Bhaskar sir with both hands? And how did I open the interview room, right? He described the entire process, that 10-minute walk, every single thought in my head, right? And I was crying out, Swami, boss, privacy, please, right? Right. But the thing is, see, these are the things that and the more we are aware that there is a universal consciousness inside that is aware of every single thought that goes through this mind, and that this mind should be held accountable to that inner divinity. I think once that focus comes in, I think the same answer holds for the same answer of accountability, the same answer of how easy or difficult holds true for all of us. Is it not, dear brothers and sisters? Right. So
very, very true. And thank you. Excellent points for sure. So as you've been involved in education, I think our next question is, what is the best use of education according to Swami?
Best use of education. Use of education, of course, is service to society. If we are not bringing in people who are inspired, if you're not churning out people who are aligned, who are not aligned to the larger needs of society, who are not empathetic to their fellow men, who do not have the aptitude or the attitude to solve those problems, right? The attitude and the aptitude to solve those problems. If we are not churning them out, then I think the whole purpose of education is wasted. And that, I believe, is character, right? The end of education is character. When he says a character is the ability to be focused towards a higher purpose, right? To let go of all the distractions, to not to get carried away by the distractions on the path, not to heed to the call of the small Satya, but always focusing on to the capital S Satya, right? And make sure that is what character is, right? And when we hold ourselves accountable to the larger universal expectations, then all these smaller aspects of empathy, these are all building blocks to that, your intellect being used for service to society, right? To take ownership of the entire world, right? As your ownership, as your responsibility to serve, right? How large is your accountability, right? Are you accountable to your family only, or are you accountable to a larger reality? I think that expansion of consciousness is what education is all about. And I think that is what Swami was driving when he said, the end of education is character. And through all the song and dance and drama and literature and science, etc., that is being taught, is either to sharpen your head or to open up your heart. And those practical aspects, that project works, etc., are to give you the skills to collaborate, to work with one another, to find subdue your ego while working in teams. All these things are important components towards rounding up your character. And that character is nothing but, again, I reiterate, that character is nothing but a larger accountability to a larger purpose. I think that could be a thought process for education. Again, I'm now again telling that Swami did I speak too much, kind of a thing. But yeah, probably that is something that we should together evolve as a definition of what do you mean by end of education is character.
Beautifully explained. Thank you. I think segue into another of your education question. I'm kind of putting them together. So in one of your talks, you had basically talked about 3 goals in education, basically standardizing, identifying exceptional qualities in like teachers with aim to bring the excellence everywhere, and then the space, the environment that we create. So these are at more organizational level. How do we affect these changes at a guru level or as individuals?
Okay. Uh, uh, a bit of a conceptual clarity question. So yeah, so let me think about a little bit. See, what we had created as part of the Vidyavani program was a framework called the IIEP by 4C framework. Right, the IIEP would stand for insightful, inspiring, enjoyable, and participative. These were the 4 purposes. Your education is for making making it insightful, to get deeper insights into the subjects, into the topics. That means the head, right? Making sure that you get the concepts right. The inspiration and the enjoyment is the heart, right? It is you're inspired to be on the journey of transformation, and you seek for being on your personal journey of transformation. You seek inspiration from society, from nature, and from the divine, right? So how do we take inspiration from all sources to make sure that you're working towards character? Enjoyable is an important component that is typically left out in schooling education, making sure that where schools then end up becoming a sad existence, where you're scared to go, you're not willing, thank God it is Friday, kind of a thing. So we used to have that saying that, thank God it is Monday should be the motto of every child, that I'm going to school today. So how do you make it enjoyable? How do you make it that enchantment of school, that freedom, that exuberance, or the authenticity of the school experience, right? So how do we make sure that spontaneity and that affinity towards the school is taken care of? And finally, that was the enjoyable, the insightful, inspiring, enjoyable, and participative. And participative is all about being collaborative, taking responsibility, taking ownership. So these are all important components these are all important words or keywords for a teacher to think about, right? A teacher is not about creating a lesson plan and delivering the lesson plan. A teacher has to visualize the overall growth of a child. There was a beautiful joke which says that, what subject are you teaching? I teach science. So what do you teach? I teach science. What do you teach? I teach mathematics. I teach history. Then somebody asks, who teaches the children, right? So you're focused on the subject, then who is focusing on the children, right? And all those things, that purpose should never be lost. So these were the 4 things that we used to speak. We used to take it into 4x4 metrics. These were the 4 rows: insightful, inspiring, enjoyable, and participative. And we had the 4 columns: classroom, corridor, campus, and community, right? And we used to call it the domains of influence, right? And domains of influence, where what happens with the teacher is that they think that my domain of influence is only the classroom, that I am the queen of the classroom. The moment the end of the class bell rings and the children start pouring out of the classroom, I have no control. And so please, if my domain of influence is the classroom, then please don't hold me accountable for character building. I will only be accountable for subject teaching, right? And so we said that domain of influence is not just the classroom, it is the classroom, corridor, campus, and community. And by corridor, we meant the ambience, the inanimate things around the school. When the teacher is not there, what do the walls speak to the child? What does the dustbin speak to the child? What do the gardens speak to the child? What does the notice board speak to the child? What do the walls of the corridor speak to the child, right? That asynchronous learning, right? What is that asynchronous contact with the child? When synchronous contact is when the teacher is speaking and the child is learning. Asynchronous is when the child is exploring on her own, right? So how do you design? So the teacher's influence is not just about creating the lesson plan, but also in designing the corridor, right? Making sure that the ambience is created. And when the teacher engages with the school authorities, with the principals, and collectively creates, then their influence is manifold. The third is what we call the campus. Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, it's low volume though. It's very low volume.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, better now.
Yes, sorry. The third aspect is the campus, which is about the culture of the school, right? What kind of interactions do students and teachers have? What is the peer interaction? How do you nurture those interactions? How do you keep those? How do you delegate that leadership from the teachers to the students? How do you find those leaders amongst the students and give them the responsibility of peer engagement? Right? These are all important components. And then when you say that your domain, as for a teacher, when you say that your domain is not just the classroom, but the you can influence the child through the corridor, you can influence the child through the culture of the school. That's when she becomes positive, and she says that, yeah, I can now take responsibility of the overall molding of a child, and because I have the influence over multiple domains, and I am not limited to the classroom. And finally, I call the fourth domain used to be community, and where it is, it's out there, and the service. How do all the thoughts, that all the insightful aspects, all the subject that you learned, how do you apply that to solve community level problems, giving those project works outside the school, and those aspects, right? When we keep that entire, it's a long it's a 1 or 2 hour discussion, but I'm trying to put it in a nutshell. It's IIEP by 4C, the insightful, inspiring, enjoyable, participative education in the 4 domains of influence: the classroom, corridor, campus, and community. And I'm happy to interact with some of the Balvikas and the SSE teachers to explore these ideas a little bit more. But I think it's something that that was inspired at Bhagwan's lotus feet, and I think we should take it forward in various ways and forms.
Absolutely. Thank you for summarizing it for us so succinctly. So I think the next few questions are based on your proximity to Bhagwan. So I think as Swami worked to spiritually advance millions, in your observation, what is one quality he prized over others as a foundation?
Very sharp questions. One quality over others. It would be love, right? It would be your ability to expand your love. Love is expansion, 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 that Swami would say, right? And I think to start, one thing that I've realized with Swami's teachings is that every entry point is an entry point to the entire portal. It's a portal to the entire gamut of teachings of Bhagwan. You could start with love, you will reach. You can start with the quest for peace, and you will reach every single teaching. So it's all like a cybernetic diagram, which has got touch points to everything else, right? So I don't, it's all a beautifully created structure of structured philosophy of Bhagwan, where everything feeds from one another, right? You cannot be speaking about love without speaking about universal consciousness, about the self, about the Atma. You cannot speak about the Atma without talking about. You cannot speak about uncovering the Atma without speaking about the ceiling on desires and the control of the senses, right? So it's all connected, but the core of it is all love, right? When we expand that love for oneself, the love for the family, the love for the community, the love for the entire world, when love goes from Vyashti to Samashti to Srishti to Parameshti, that construct, I think with that all other teachings come in, and all other frameworks. And unless you have love, what I described in the beginning, that falling in love with the teachings of Bhagwan, unless you have that love for the divine, you will not put in the effort, right? And this brings me to that love aspect, brings me to one aspect. I know that all of you are focusing on a Vahini series next year on your sadhana on the Vahinis. And I wanted to touch upon that one incident again with Bhagwan, again in his room, when I was doing the Pad Seva to him. He asked me, "Inka em chadutunnavu?" It was in that same conversation where he had, the other conversation where I spoke, where he was sitting next to the bed, that and I was doing the Pad Seva. Then, and after all that exuberant this thing of what is Vidya Vahini, etc., he told, "What are you reading?" And I said, "Swami, Bhagavata Vahini, I'm reading Bhagavata Vahini." So Swami went on about a 10-15 minute monologue about Bhagavatam and love of Parikshit, the love of Krishna, the love of the Gopikas, the typical, the whole Bhagavatam that Swami speaks. And then he's, very innocently asks, do you know, have you read the Bhagavatam that Swami has written? I told Swami, that is what I'm reading, Swami, not the other Bhagavatam. I'm reading that one. And then Swami went into another monologue of how Kasturi Garu would come at the beginning of every month, and he would be afraid to ask. He's afraid to ask God hold God accountable, right? But it was his task to hold the master accountable for the next issue of Vahini. Right? So we never think about on those lines, right? It was just, imagine the task on Kasturi Garu to come and tell, boss, have you finished that next issue of this thing, right? He's the editor. So and Swami is actually all said and done just a contributor to that Sanatana Sarthi, right? And here is the editor holding Swami accountable to that. So Swami used to build that picture, and he was just afraid to ask, but he would come and stand like that. And I would know that he has come for the article, and it will, table pen on it's on the table, go and pick it up. And he would, the way he narrated, the way Swami painted that picture, he said that Nannu Marchipoyevadu, he used to forget me, right? He would come out already reading the paper. He's immersed in that paper, and he's already enjoying Swami. He would sometime, I'm imagining he would sometime, stub his toe on the threshold, because he's now immersed in that paper, right? I'm imagining the grand old sire Kasturi Garu coming out of Swami's bedroom with that paper, and forgetting Swami, and completely immersed, and going through that paper. Just imagine Swami's handwritten thing in his hands. And then Swami said, Nik Telidra, Ratri, you don't know, you don't realize, I used to write this late in the night. And I used to go, because if I switch on the light, the devotees who are sleeping on the sands down there would see the light and say, oh, it's time for Suprabhatam. Swami has got up, we should all scoot away. Because of the time that I need to be in the dark, because I want people to take rest, there is no sleep for me. And that's why I would sit in the bathroom. I had a small light with a torch. I would, and not switch on the light. With a torch, I used to write the Vahinis. And sitting inside the bathroom, that small bathroom on a chair, and writing the Vahinis. See, this is an image that should be part of our consciousness. The power of the Gita is because of the Bhagavatam. The power of the Vahinis is because of the Satyam Shivam Sundaram, right? Because of the life that he has led. And that's why his teachings are so valuable. Because of the pain, the love with which he has written all these things and left it for us. I think that's the essence. I think we need to take forward with devotion that sadhana of the Vahini series. And that, dear sister, to answer your question of what is the most important thing, it is that outpouring of love that he had kept, and he had held himself accountable for that, right? And it's not, accountable is a wrong word. You don't have accountability in love, right? It is all the natural flow, and it's like you can't hold mothers accountable for anything. So but yes, love is the most important thing that he has always focused on.
No, thank you for sharing such a beautiful. Thank you for sharing such a beautiful experience. Yeah. I think you already talked a little about your experience as an adolescent, right? But I think some people want to hear more advice for young adults out of your own experience as a young adult a few years ago. So if you can go into it a bit more. Thank you.
I think we have covered that topic in a quite an extensive manner today. And I don't think I have much to add now. I think let's skip to the next question if possible.
Sure, absolutely.
We have already spoken a lot about this.
That is true.
Today, and actually the whole topic got diverted to a young adults program kind of a thing. So let's see if there is some other topic that come up, please.
Sure. I think there was you've talked in your another talk about how Swami basically inculcated attentiveness and focus, right? I think whether it was the handkerchief incident that you have narrated in one of your talks, or the prompting of reading the Krishna books, right? So I was wondering how can you inspire us to create the same kind of what do we do as parents or educators to bring that attentive and focusedness, especially like right now it's for young adults, it's such a distracted time. We have media, we have phones, we have computers, etc. Right? Social media is such a big deal.
Yes, yes. No, that's a problem, I think, today, even for the adults. And I see that my mother is as hooked onto the WhatsApp as my daughter is, and as I am. Right? It's a new entity that has to be tamed. I think the principles are the same. The earlier the mind was roving all over the place. Today the mind has got a tool of distraction. Right? So it is not about the tools, but the source of it, which is the mind. I think, and again, the answer is love, right? The answer is, why do I find those distractions more appealing? Because probably my love is dissipated. My love is towards 100 different things. If I find a source of love that is deeper, that is intellectually engaging, that is emotionally engaging, where the head, heart, and the hands are pulled, are able to take a sufficient amount of time. I remember the schedule in Prashant Nilayam as a student was so tight that that all that we could think of at 10:30 was, when can I go back to bed, right? Because the day was so packed with activities, right? To bring in that discipline, and what I see, especially in my, at least what I see in my daughter and her friends, is that they are also learning to use these tools for very positive things, right? The collaborative way in which they work, the way they are using the tools to collaborate with one another. I mean, if we say again that rebellion is the key thing of adolescence, right? If you say that do not use the tool, it's going to be telling that I will. So basically, I used to always have this fun saying that rules are meant to be broken. Rules are a challenge, right? The rules are basically saying that it's a challenge to you, that can you break it? That's like kind of a thing. It's an invitation for them to break it. And so, but then working with them, giving again the same principles of respect, patience, etc., to know that they are going to make a right choice, guiding them towards what we think is a right choice, guiding them towards exploring new avenues, giving them the ideas of self-discipline, right? Giving them the frameworks of self-discipline. I think bringing in the intellectually engaging with them to understand for them to realize the dissipation of energy that is happening because of these things, rather than saying that why are you wasting your time with all this nonsense and this and that. Working with them onto the dissipation of energy that is happening, various dissipation of time, dissipation of sexual energy, dissipation of because these are all big challenges that our young adults are facing today, right? So how do we focus on making them aware of how they are spread thin, rather than telling that don't do this or don't do that. Again, dogmatic solutions or dogmatic things will not answer. I think engaging with them to co-create the solution is the answer to me, and that is what Bhagwan would do, right? He would give us the energy and that engagement to a higher task, and that would occupy our entire being, right? If there is there's birthday coming, then we would be focused on getting everything organized. That responsibility is a tremendous thing. So making the children, making the young adults part of a larger than life events, right, is an important task. So earlier probably it would be a program in Prashant Nilayam, or it's not necessary that what we need is to create that Prashant Nilayam in every homes, every heart, every city, every country, right? To have that larger than life events for young adults to feel complete ownership of, right? And that would bring them, that would channelize the energies. You have to give a larger magnet to channelize, rather than say that don't try to break the attraction of the smaller magnets around. The smaller magnets being Twitter and Facebook, and the three cell phones that they may be holding in 3 different pockets. So
no, beautifully answered. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I think that was our set of questions. I will now pass it to Sister Kamla.
Thank you, sister. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
Offering my most loving pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan. we consider ourselves extremely fortunate to have had Brother Satyajit speak to us this evening, and it is with immense gratitude on behalf of all Canadian devotees that I thank our dear Swami for giving us this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, Brother Satyajit, for taking us along through this journey down your memory lane by relating all the blissful and enlightening moments you spent with Swami. It was almost as if we were there with you to relive those experiences that you related to us. You talked about your connect with Swami right from how you developed it from your childhood to your adolescence, which gives us ideas as to how we should develop our youngsters, young adults. We need to be patient as the child grows to adolescence and then to adulthood as they develop their own connect with Swami, not to force it on them. We need to give respect to young adults and to allow them to build up their own effulgence, support them, even though they may not be yet capable of handling some of these posts in the organization, but nurture them and give them confidence, understand their cultural concepts, which is so important, and change with the new generation to make the organization perennially relevant. The universal principles that have been there from eternity should be carried forward without the dogmatic principles. Thank you so much for all these valuable lessons to us, and we will take it forward as we go with the new generation. So on behalf of the National Council of SSSIO Canada and all the Canadian devotees, as well as other devotees joining us from other countries, I express our deep felt gratitude to you, Brother Satyajit, for spending your invaluable time with us to inspire and motivate us all to walk the Sai path that leads us to our higher purpose in life and help us to be the living examples of the Sai message. Thank you so much, brother. And as you said, we do have the Vahini series study circle starting in January. And at the end of each quarter, we invite a speaker to come and spend time with us, giving their message about the Vahinis. The first one we are going to be doing is Dharma Vahini, and I'm hoping you'll come back as our first speaker at the end of the first quarter. We would love to have you.
It will be lovely to revisit the Dharma Vahini.
Thank you so much. That will be wonderful. So before I let you all go, last but not least, I would like to thank our dear SSC children and the young adults for presenting that wonderful sloka and the blissful bhajan in the beginning of the program. Now, before the closing prayers, we will be having a short video with a soulful song rendered by our brother Erwin Dukit, who is one of our young adults here. Thank you so much. Om Shri Sai Ram.
God of love, fill my heart with your treasure. Let me share, let me care, let me love without measure. Father of love, let me like you, kind and true forever. God of love, God of love, love me now and forever. God of light, hold my life in your keeping. Let me find peace of mind, guard me waking or sleeping. Father of light, guide me every day, all the way forever. God of light, lead me onward forever. God of light, God
सद्गमया तमसोमा ज्योतिर्गमया मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमया।
ओम जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक प्रतिमनेश्वर ओम जय जगदीश हरे शशि भजना श्रीकर सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलटिका आश्रित कल्पलटिका आपदान्धवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे मात पिता गुरुदैवं मरियन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मरियन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्राशयन ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल हारति अंधको मंगल आरती अंध को मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति शांति शांति।
जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय। समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति शांति शांति।